Hello, in this video we're going to learn how to use the 5 different types of fields that you will use to search for properties in just about every search that Paragon has to offer. So once you learn how to use these fields, you can do any search in Paragon. Now I'm using a Paragon that is a training Paragon. It will look different than yours. The fields will be set up different, maybe even called different. That's all right. We're going to learn how to use those fields because that is consistent throughout every Paragon that every board and association uses. So the fields we're going to work with are going to be found in a search, in this case a typical search of residential. So we open up a residential search default template. Your template, like I just said, may look different and be different as far as how it's set up per board rules, but the fields will work the same. One of the search fields that we're going to talk about is search by map. I'm going to come back to that a little bit later after we go through these other search fields. In my particular Paragon that I'm on, we have a partial number and an MLS number search right here. And those are free-form text fields. They can be alpha and numeric, and that means that you can type in letters or numbers. And they are a wildcard search, which means that you can start typing in just part of the number and get some results. The more you type of the number or of the text that you're looking for, like for instance in remarks fields, those are also a wildcard free-form text field. You could type just FENC if you're looking for the word fence or any form of the word fence. If I scroll on down towards the bottom, in the remarks or agent remarks, you can see with the question mark at the end of the field that those are also free-form text fields. And as I was mentioning, you can type in just part of a word that you're looking for, push on your tab key, and it will look for any word that has FENC within it. And in our count automatically up here, we found 19 listings that in the remarks field found the word fence, fences, fenced, fencing, all of those because I used a form of the word as a wildcard search. Let's come back up to the top. The most common type of field is a lookup field. There are always lots of lookup fields in almost every board, association, Paragon out there. A lookup field, for instance, status, type, area, city, and county, those are almost always lookup fields. So for instance, how do I know those are lookup fields? Back up here to my status line here, over to the right, there is a lookup field here because of the square box with the little magnifying glass in it. That tells me that's a lookup field. Same for type, same for area, same for city and county. So how can we use these lookup fields that have data in there preset, predetermined by our board and association? We can click on the magnifying glass, in this case for status, and it'll give us the list of the statuses for my Paragon. And again, these will vary per board and association. We have a category of active, and when I select it, all of the subcategories will be selected too. Sold, pending, or I can even just go on an individual basis of the substatuses if I want to. Whatever I have selected, we click Save, and then they appear in the status box. The same thing with type. It is a lookup field, so that means the data to choose from for type is already in here, placed by the board association. So we're looking for a single family, maybe a single family with acreage in my case here, and of course types will vary from every Paragon. We click Save, and now those types have been placed. Area, it's a lookup field, so there is a list. You can see majors and minor areas and primary areas, just the small areas. You can filter by whichever ones you might want. We could even just type in what we're looking for, either the code or data number or even the description. It doesn't matter. It will find whatever you've typed in that matches. Once we have a list on our screen, we select them, click Save, and those are also in. Now, with that being said, if you're an experienced agent, you probably will not even open up the list box over here. So let's clear all of those out and show you another way of how to use lookup fields. Status. With my cursor in the status box, you can see the info tip that comes up says begin typing the data you wish to select. So that means I can type ACT because I'm looking for active. And we have all active and just active appear. All active means that that is the entire category of actives along with all the substatuses that are listed. Maybe you don't want all of those substatuses. So we'll just go with active and just take the substatus of active. There might be new, there might be back on the market, you might have a price change of some kind. All of these again will vary from board association to board association. We could type in sold, pending, and we'll pick up all of those statuses in those categories. In this case, this would be the start of a comparable search for a CMA. Same thing with type. Just with my cursor in the box, I can start typing in single family, and there's the single family with acreage appears. I could type it in again and go with the other single family. Condo, townhouse, area. The same thing we did with the little box that we could search, we can type in here. It could even be the numbers. And when it's highlighted in blue, you push your tab key, you can push your enter key, you can push your comma key on your keyboard, or just click on it, and it will accept it into that field. So that one's highlighted in blue, tab, it's in. Tab on down to city. And we can start typing here because it is a lookup field. This is called autofill. That allows you to just start typing. Lookup fields, not all, but most lookup fields, and if it's set up by your board association, may have this equals to right at the back end of the field name for city in my case that I'm on, and right next to the magnifying glass, you may see an equals to. This equals to gives you a choice of a not equal to. If you click on it, it gives you an option of a not equals to. What that means is for this particular field, in this case Boise right here, I could say maybe my customer does not want to be in Boise, so I could say not equal to, and it will then look outside of Boise. Let's get rid of some of these other fields like area here, and let's get rid of pending and sold and just go with an active search here. And so we're looking outside of Boise because this says not equal to. Moving down the screen here, our other major set of fields that you'll use are range fields, like for instance, price range, high and low, beds and bath, square footages, garage capacity. Those are numeric fields, so that means you can have a minimum and a maximum. So we put in our price range, a low end, put in a high end. Some agents may only use a high end. It's up to you. Beds. Let's say the buyer wants at least a 3-bedroom house, or your comp needs at least a 3-bedroom house. Maximum, you probably don't need a maximum if you're working for buyers, in this case for this particular search. If you're working for a possible seller and getting comparables or comps for a CMA, then you might want to do 3 and 3 to more closely match the possible seller's house. Baths, 2 minimum, and the same rule applies here. Leave the maximum open if you're going to be doing a search for buyers, or you might want to do 2 and 2 if that's what the possible seller's house has if you're doing comps for a CMA. Minimum square footage and maximum garage capacity, these are pretty self-explanatory for minimum and maximums. Now we have our other set of fields here called calendars or date fields. Closing date, list date, status date. There are a lot of different date fields out there. Your board may have more than this on your default search screen. How do these work? I'm going to come back up to our status, and I'm going to put sold back in there as if I was going to do a CMA comp search. As I do comp searches using solds, I only want to go back a certain amount of time to get the solds that are relevant to today's market. Solds from 5 years ago are not relevant to today's market value. So I only want to go back so far. So that's why I have solds in here, and I need to have closing date, which is tied to the status of solds. So with closing date, I can go back as far as I need to get relevant sold properties in order to make my CMA comps for a possible seller. So here's closing date. We have a beginning and an end date. We can click on the calendar and a little calendar comes up. We can go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months maybe, whatever it is the marketplace demands for your particular CMA that you're doing. And we do not need to have an ending date. It's just going to go to right now at the time that you're running that search. However, you will possibly see, again, depends on if your board has set this up and has agreed to have this date range possibility. You click on the drop down and you can see you'll have some options to go back certain sets of time. In this case, I'll go 6 months back. So I don't need to use the calendar tool if I'm going to use a date range drop down to go back as far as I might need to. Maybe I need to go back 12 months. And you can see it will just automatically then go back that amount from today's date. All calendar or date fields will have that date range if your board association has decided to turn those on. Scrolling on down a little bit more. We have age, in my case there is a lookup field, and land size is a lookup field. Now remember, your age may not be a lookup field, and it may not even be called age. That's because board associations make your Paragon unique to your market. The next field I want to look at will be features. Features is a lookup field. It has 3 parts to it. Must have something, must not have something, or must have one or more of some items. It's a lookup field, so there is a little square box with a magnifying glass. We click on it. It opens up a box with the categories of features. These will also vary from board to board. We can collapse all of those and see just the categories. We can click on one specifically and open it up and see the actual features for that particular category. And we still have a must-have column, must-not have, must have one or more. In this case, we could use heating, for example, to say what our customer is looking for in their property. So let's select a few of these with this checkbox, and it puts it in the must-have column. If we click Save, though, let's see what our count happens. We went to 0. Why was that? Well, that's because it's not what's included in the search. When we put it in the features, the must-have, they must be in the house. These heating types must be in the house. Probably not going to happen. So let's come back to our list. What we should have done was just click in the actual column, one or more, to select our choices. Then when you click Save, they'll be in the one or more column, and you can see you'll have a count of these most common types. But also, since these are lookup fields, I could have just started typing right here in the box, brought up my list, and maybe E10 is what I'm looking for, propane, to add to the list. So those are our most common types of fields. The last field we want to look at is the search by map field. Before I do that, I'm going to eliminate the city, and I'm going to eliminate, come over here to my criteria summary, I'm going to eliminate both areas. I don't want any area or city or county or subdivision because I'm going to use a map shape around a particular area, and that will be my defining area to do my search within, whether it's for actives, whether it's for comps, including solds and pendings or whatever you might use for comps. So now I'm going to search by map. We click on it. It opens up the map. And on the map, we start off with a road and an X right in the middle of our map. Now that X right there means that that will be a starting point for you, and it will be your broker office address. That's all it is a convenience to have the map start off in your marketplace. In the top right corner, We have our traditional zoom in and zoom out toolbars. We also have the traditional pan the map by moving the map. But most of us now know to use our mouse and or the touchpad tools to just drag and drop and move the map, pan the map in whatever direction you might want. Zooming the map, I'm using a scroll wheel mouse. So if I scroll down, that means it will zoom out. If I scroll up on my scroll wheel mouse, it zooms in. Up in the top left corner, we have additional toolbars. Now, I'm not going to go into total in-depth on the map search. There are videos specific to the map search. But in the top right, we can switch this to aerial or bird's eye view or auto, and we can also show the labels. Let's go to auto. That means that as I scroll in, it automatically will switch to the satellite view with the labels. Scroll in more, and it will automatically switch to the bird's eye view with an angle. Zoom out, of course, will reverse. Searching on the road map makes it a little easier to see exactly where you are and then go look at your results on the other different map types. We can do different drawing of shapes. We click on the draw and it gives us our options here of a polygon, a rubber band, or a radius search, and we can even hide a shape once we have it drawn and have some results on our screen. Let's do a quick radius search. We click on it, it activates it. My cursor is now in a little crosshair type. We click where we want to start the center of our radius, let go, and draw our cursor out, and it will tell you exactly how far out that you are. See there? Now I'm at 1.63 miles. Let's come back in. We go to about 1 mile. That is a radius of 1 mile, diameter of 2. So we click, and that then does a search within that particular shape that I've drawn. Individual listings will appear in this shape right here. If you see a circle with numbers within it, that means that there are several listings, 2 listings, 3 listings within that immediate area at that zoom level. So a couple of things we can do here is to quickly click on one listing, and you can see it over here on our left. We click on the numbered circle. It also appears on the left, but we get our page number to look at both listings that are pretty close to each other in this particular result. If we come over here to the 4, we double click, and that will then take us to those 4 listings on the map, and then in our summary on the left side panel, we can go through the listings in this direction. As you page through those listings, you'll see on the map a little aura around that number for that listing. We zoom back out, and of course it now automatically switches, and the rest of our listings appear on our screen. The farther you zoom out, of course, the more that they will gather up into these little sub listings. Other shapes that you can do, the polygon, that allows you to click and create different shapes wherever you happen to click. And you can follow pretty much any curvy road or waterway that you might want to. You have 50 clicks to draw that polygon. The other shape is a rubber band shape. Click, set a corner, let go, and then draw whatever kind of rectangle or square type shape that you want over an area, and it will then look for those listings. If we click on a shape, it'll give us a little toolbar here that we can delete a shape and or edit or exclude. Let's delete that shape. Come back to our circle. We can click on it and we can edit the shape, move it in, move it out, and it will do a recount when you let go. So that's how to use some of these map tools. Please practice a little bit or go watch the individual mapping videos. We're going to click add to criteria, but typically you're going to click search now and get whatever listings that you have in your shape onto your screen to take them to the next level of emailing, printing. But we're going to say add to criteria. We're going to come back to our search screen, and those are the 5 different types of fields you're going to use with criteria in searching for properties. The map field, the freeform text field, lookup fields, calendar or date fields, and then the range fields. Those can be found in practically every search that Paragon can do for you. For instance, on the home screen, we have our lookup fields. We have a map field. We have range fields. They're used everywhere. In search, in different categories or classes, for instance, land, we click on it, there's a map field. There's a freeform text field. There are lookup fields and range fields. So they're everywhere. So once you learn how to use those fields, how they're used, then learn to understand the data for your particular board association Paragon, you'll be able to do a search. Thanks for watching, everyone.